Hey, what is going on, everybody? Dude, today iOS 12, the beta 1 just released. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see how it runs on the iPhone 6s. Now on all my devices, the average size of this beta was about 2 gigabytes. So it wasn't big, and it was actually kind of the same size from the jump from 11.4 to 11.4.1 beta 1. So it's really not that big. And the dope thing is that all the devices that supported iOS 11 are supported for iOS 12, so that's super sick. Now, one thing I noticed as soon as I even boot up the iPhone 6s was that speed was just immediately, I noticed it was a little bit more responsive and just seems like a little bit more faster. I mean, it might just be the placebo effect or whatever that's called, but I do think this phone feels a little bit faster, but I will kind of talk about an interesting thing about that in a second. Now, a lot of dope things were added in iOS 12 and some things weren't added in iOS 12, such as a dark mode. And I did check, and Smart Invert is still just as dumb as it was. So they really didn't make any improvements in Smart Invert, it doesn't look like. And that's probably the worst thing about iOS 12, the fact they didn't add it. But there is a new Measure app, and this is kind of interesting. So if you have something, okay, let's say I put my phone up here, right? And let's say I don't know how this works, I haven't used it yet. But if I click the plus, right, you see how it's kind of making that thing right there, with the circle. And you can see it's kind of measuring the dimensions of it. It's kind of not the greatest thing ever. It's kind of really hard to explain, actually. But it does show the dimensions. You can see, I don't know if that's completely right. Now, I can definitely see that being kind of useful in the future. Now, right now, I can't really notice anything about it. Now, we also have group notifications, so that's super sick. Notifications from the same apps, such as iMessage, Gmail, anything like that. They will now be grouped. And that was actually in a version of iOS before, but they took it out. But thank God Apple listened and they added it back in. And we also have grouped FaceTime. So now we can FaceTime with up to 32 people or 36 people. I don't really remember. But a ton of people you can FaceTime with. I don't even have that many friends, honestly. So I don't know who I'm going to FaceTime with. And it kind of reminds me more of Google Hangouts, and it's kind of cool too because the person who speaks or is speaking during the FaceTime call, their icon bubble thing gets bigger, they're square. So that's really cool, and I'm glad they actually added that in. There is a new Do Not Disturb and Screen Time mode. So with Screen Time, you can actually see how much you use your phone when the screen is on, and you can also kind of, limit the amount you use, such as an app like Instagram, and it'll remind you to, put down the phone. And you can actually set time limits, so you can't use a certain app beyond a certain point. So it's kind of cool for children. I don't really see any adults using that. And Do Not Disturb has some new modes too. And you can actually have no messages or notifications bother you during a certain amount of time. I think they call it night mode or something or scheduled. So I'm actually kind of glad they actually did that, because a lot of people, like my mom included, she puts her phone in a different room at night because she doesn't like the notifications. But now she can just enable that in iOS 12 and she won't have a problem with it. Another thing that a lot of people haven't talked about is the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi toggles. They don't fully turn off yet. They just disable it until the next day or something. I really wish they were to have an option in the settings, but maybe they'll add this later on in iOS 12. But I do want to draw attention to that because that's super annoying. And a lot of other smaller things were added as well. I'm sure if you watch the keynote, even stuff beyond the keynote, things were added. I did notice one other thing in privacy and location services. If you scroll down to system services and you scroll down even more, you can get status bar icons, so you can enable or disable whether you want the location service toggle up in the top. And another thing, and this is just for me 2 seconds playing with it. If you go into general and you click system update, you can also see a new tab thing called automatic updates. You can on or off that right there. I'm going to keep it off because there's no reason to even have that on. And this is actually really cool. So I don't think this will allow those random notifications to come up on your screen. That'll be update to the latest version of iOS or anything. So I'm glad that's an option, but we will have to see once the new update comes out whether that is the case or not. And another thing I noticed, this is super minor, but when I double tap and get into the little, whatever this is called, reachability, there's a new arrow up there too. So I didn't see that before. And on iOS 11.4, I didn't see that either. I just checked. But yeah, that's there now, so that's kind of cool. Now, I did run a benchmark, and on iOS 11.4, the official version, I had 139,439 as my multi-core score, and I just reran it, and it actually went down to 138,178. Now, it's not really that big of a jump for me. I mean, it's really nothing. But I personally feel like it feels way more stable now. It just feels a lot more responsive. And I said that in the beginning, as soon as I booted up the phone, it felt a lot more responsive. So I really think iOS 12 is super cool so far. Just a little minor things that I wish they fixed, like the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth toggles and adding a dark mode in, but I'm glad to see group notifications and group FaceTime. I think those two are probably the two most greatest features of iOS 12 so far. And I'll update you guys in a couple of days how battery life goes, because it's kind of hard to test because it just came out. And the main question is, should you update to iOS 12 beta 1 right now? And I'm going to answer that question, absolutely not. You should not update to iOS 12 beta at all. Even on my daily driver, the 7 Plus, I haven't updated yet. I don't think it's stable enough. I might update it, maybe I'll see. But as of right now, I don't think it's a good choice. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm doing a giveaway right now for an iPhone 6s and an iPhone SE, so if you're in the market for a new phone, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and add me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll be giving it out in the later part of August. I'll leave a link in the description for more details about it as well. And check out the other links in the description as well, that'll mean so much. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.